So at the end of the last video, we did the balestra lunge. Now, just as we always do, we're going to switch to the non-dominant side and do a set of those just to keep your brain working. This is a balestra lunge. So it's a jump, lunge, recover, and retreat. And of course, we all know it feels sort of awkward, which is the whole point. That was sort of odd. Okay. Now, if you make an attack and you are parried, you have some options. If you make an attack, you can of course recover, parry, retreat, but you can also stay in the lunge and surprise your opponent. So if you attack and you are parried and they come at you with a riposte, you can make your own parry for riposte, in this case, staying in the lunge in the right distance, and a direct riposte to the high line. So you make an advanced lunge or a balestra and you stay in the lunge, you parry, and you make a riposte. Again, you make a balestra lunge or an advanced lunge, you parry forward, you see I've covered most of my target area here, and a straight lunge, a straight riposte rather, back to their target. So we'll do several of those. We're going to do advanced lunge or balestra lunge, your choice, and then stay in the lunge and make a parry and a riposte. Go. Lunge, parry, riposte. Recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte, and recover and retreat. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, parry 4 in the lunge, riposte. 3 more. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte. Advanced lunge, parry 4, riposte. Advanced lunge, parry 4, and riposte. And recover. So that is one option. The other option, as I told you, is to do a normal recovery as you parry. So advanced lunge, parry, let's do a counter 6 this time to sweep up anything coming our way. And riposte, possibly with a second lunge, depending on the circumstances. So advance and lunge, stay in the lunge, make a counter parry, a circle parry, and then a riposte to your opponent, recover, and retreat. Again, the circle parry looks like this. If you are lunging, a counter 6 is this circle. We're going to talk about the word counter in a minute, which we've done before. First, I want you to do 6 of these. You will lunge, you will recover with a counter 6, lunge again, recover and retreat. Advanced lunge, counter 6 with a recovery, second lunge, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, counter 6 with the recovery, lunge again, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, counter 6 with the recovery. It's a big sweeping motion to cover the whole area. Second lunge, recover and retreat. Advanced lunge, counter 6 to protect the area. Second lunge, recover, retreat. 2 more. Advanced lunge, counter 6, second lunge, recover, retreat. Advanced lunge, counter 6 for the recovery. Second lunge, recover, and retreat. Let's talk for a minute about the word counter. For the past couple of weeks, I've been writing text to explain the technical terms, which is a little trickier when you're teaching than having someone in front of you. But the word counter has 2 meanings. A counter 6, the word counter means circle. So some coaches call it a circle 6. And it looks like this if you're my opponent. And if you're on this side, if it's you, if you're right-handed, you're making a clockwise circle. So in this case, the word counter means circle. But it has another usage, and that's in the counter riposte. A counter riposte happens when I attack, I'm parried, my opponent makes a riposte, and I take their riposte and make my own answering riposte. So in that case, the word counter has the sense of answer. So I make an attack, I parry successfully, and I make my own counter riposte, my answering riposte. That's what we just did. So There were two counter uses of the term counter there. Advanced lunge, parry, counter, riposte. Advanced lunge, counter parry, and counter riposte. To distinguish, we can say advanced lunge, straight parry, counter riposte. Or advanced lunge, counter parry, counter riposte, and back. Those two terms sometimes get mixed up, which again is why some coaches say circle 6. Just make sure that you are clear on those, on the terminology and the usage of that term. All right, let's review the parry positions. I put this up on the Google Classroom site. So you know there's a quadrant here for the target area, high, low, outside, and inside. If you look at the way my body is arranged, the outside is sort of over here, the inside you have to go in, so to speak, to hit it. Just maybe like you go in a house. Each quadrant has 2 hand positions. One of them supine, where your palm is up. Nowadays, I recommend the thumb being about 1 o'clock in a clock position, not totally flat. And one where your hand is prone, and they have different usage. So let's review. I hope you have learned these by now. 6 is here, on guard. 4 is here, high inside line, chest. Underneath that is 7, or septime, as I'm used to calling it. And across the way is octave, or 8. Those of you that are musicians, you will recall octave is octave, means 8 notes. So it's 6 over 8, 4 over 7. If it helps you to visualize fractions, that's one way to learn it. And these are all done with the hand supine. So we'll review those. 6, 8, make a kind of crescent. We did this before. 8, 6, octave, 6, 8, 6. And the mirror image of that is 4, again making a crescent or a curve. 7 or septime, 4, 7, 4, septime, 4, 7, 7 and septime are the same thing. All right, so those are cases where your hand is supine. 6, 4, 7, 8, 6, 4, 7, 8. Do it from this side. 6, 4, 7, 8, 6, 4, 7, 8. It's helpful as a learner if you say the words out loud as you do them physically. That's true of much memory work, by the way. 6, 4, 7, 8, 6, 4, 7, 8. The other parries are prone, they are face down. So 6 becomes tierce, or 3. I call it tierce because that's the way I was trained. It's an old word for 3. Cant, or 5, in this case cant is Q-U-I-N-T-E, old French word for 5. Prime, you've all seen, is where you point your elbow at your opponent and your point is sort of on their flank. Very awkward, but useful in certain circumstances. And second or 2 is like pretty natural. Your hand is just prone. It's like slapping a mosquito off your leg. Right, so we'll try those. Tierce is 3, cant is 5. Prime is 1, basically. And second is 2. So it's a little odder, I think. So tierce and second, 3 and 2 are above each other. And my hand is like I'm karate chopping, kind of. Very powerful. Both of these very natural movements. So 3 and 5, tierce, 3 and 2, tierce and second. Cant is over here. This is used for a very particular situation, which I won't describe now. And prime is if anyone's coming this way and you want to trick them and sort of guide them past you and hit them as they go. That's a move that you really don't practice that much until you've really got the other parries down. So those are important things to remember. Now, in terms of attacks, let's remember there are 2 kinds of attacks. There are simple attacks and there are compound attacks. In the simple attack, we have 3 kinds. 3 simple attacks. Simple means single or one, so it's one movement. Straight thrust, disengage, where you pass under the blade, you know that. And coupe, which is like a disengage turned over, but a little bit more elongated. You cross over somebody's blade and come down. So it looks like this. This is a riskier move. It's high risk, high reward. It's hard for the opponent to stop, but it's easy for me to miss. And so at this level, much of what we do doesn't include a lot of coupe. So again, the 3 kinds of simple attacks, and I want you to memorize these. Straight, Disengage, where you make the letter U under parry, or coupe, where you cut over the blade. Any combination of those is on the compound attack. So 2 disengages, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Done that many times. 1, 2, 3. And any combinations, you can do an infinite number of 1, 2 disengages as long as your opponent doesn't find your blade. If you make a circle with your attack, it's called a double or a doublement, you will remember. So if I attack you and you make a circle, I make a circle, and we're right back where we started from. If I come at you and you make a circle, I deceive you by going around myself. So a double disengage, a disengage double, any combination like that makes up a compound attack. And the last thing I'll say on this is, any attack has the right of way, provided that you are continuously threatening the target area and are not being parried. If I make a very complex attack, 2 doublés, a disengage, another disengage, a third, and then a double, as long as I'm going forward, I have the right of way. Now, in reality, you don't get to do that many motions. 2 or 3 is the max. So simple, of course, as long as I'm threatening, if I'm just going straight, that also gives me the right of way. So simple or compound, the attack as defined by the extending of the arm establishes the right of way and gives me the right to touch. Obviously, for them to get the right of way, they must parry. So there's a couple of rhythmic differences here. So the first thing we're going to do is an advanced feint and a disengage. And we're going to change the rhythm so it's slow, fast. Advanced feint is kind of slow or medium. You're looking to see if you can draw a parry. So if I'm attacking you and you start to parry 4, I can quickly disengage and hit. And I want to change my tempo and accelerate. So advanced feint, disengage. You can see how I go from slow to fast. Advanced feint, disengage. Watch again. Advanced feint, disengage. Advanced feint, disengage. Slow, fast. Slow, fast. Even in that moment where you're going slow, your opponent's mind perceives it and goes, oh, that's the tempo. And then the next instant you change it and you surprise him or her. This happens so quickly, it's quicker than thought, so to speak. So we're going to do 10 of these. Advanced feint, disengage. Look at obviously you're looking at your target, assuming you have one, not at me, but I'm going to call it out so you'll know to do it. Ready? Go. Advanced feint, disengage, lunge, and back, retreat. Advanced feint, disengage, go fast. Advanced feint, disengage, and back. Advanced feint, disengage, and back. Advanced feint, disengage. Now I'm going to say slow, fast. Slow, fast. Slow, fast. Slow, fast. Slow, fast. Slow, fast. You can see that any sport, any martial art, which fencing is one of, requires lots and lots and lots of repetition, almost like a machine. You don't want to feel like a machine when you fence, you want to feel like an artist, but you want your technique to be very robot-like, machine-like. You can always depend on it, you always know what to do. If you're making a double disengage, 2 disengages, or a 1-2, there's a couple of different rhythms that go with that. So we'll do those now. The first feint, you advance, and you feint, and you come under your opponent's arm, right around here, so that I can't really see where you're going. It's kind of a neutral zone. It's not a defined attack to the high line or to the low. And it has just that moment of hesitation where I'm not sure which way to parry, and then you come in and surprise me. You might come in here, if I move this way, you might continue straight. That's the nice thing about slow, fast, is that you have a moment to adjust. So this is 2 disengages. The first is slow under the arm. The second is fast back to the high line, to the chest. Again, slow, disengage, 3/4 extension. Then the finish where I second disengage and make my lunge. Again, slow, fast. Ready? Slow, disengage, fast. Slow, disengage, fast, disengage. Try to see your opponent in your mind's eye or your imagination and see where their arm is and go under the arm and a little to the outside. Slow, fast. Slow, disengage, fast, disengage. 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 Two more. Slow, disengage, fast, disengage. Slow, disengage, fast, disengage. As you're doing this, be mindful of a loose shoulder, loose fingers, nothing tense, and that your motion is relatively small. You really want your blade to sort of be here. You don't want a big Grand Canyon Valley with your blade. You want it very small. The smaller the motion, the quicker it is. There is another rhythm you can use with this attack, and that is slow, fast, fast. So we've done slow, fast, but you can also go advance, slow, and then a quick 1-2. 1-2. So you put the speed in a different part of the attack. You advance slowly, then you go 1-2, and you're in the lunge as you start. Advance, you start your 1, your foot's already in the air, and your 2 is when you land, the point landing before your foot. I'll do that again. Advance, here's the feint. Then your foot comes up as you do the first disengage, followed by the second. So the 2 disengages are done while you're in the air, so to speak. I'm obviously exaggerating that. You don't want to lunge with your foot that high, but you see that instead of disengaging with my advance and second disengage with lunge, this time both disengages in the same time, foot in the air. I'll do it a couple more times slowly. Advance, 1-2. Advance, 1-2. So face your target, as I call it, and try to do both disengages while your foot's in the air. It's almost like you're a flying attacker, like a drone. Ready? Advance, 1-2. Recover, retreat. 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 Advance, 1-2. One more. And last one. Advance, 1-2. So this gives you a reminder of the fact that rhythm changes in fencing are very important. You don't want to be predictable. I think I've told you I had a coach, he was from Armenia in Russia, and spoke funny English and said things like, you need to be unexpectable, which is to say, don't be predictable. Am I going to go beat 1-2, or am I going to go beat 1-2? The rhythm should always be changing so your opponent cannot predict where you're going to be. All right, we'll come back right quick to the parry positions to review that, and then if you review that on your own, that would be great. I'm going to call the position, and you go there. 6, and then I'll follow. 4, 7, or 17, 8, or octave. 4, 8, 4, 7, 6. Maybe I'll do it this way. 4, 7, 6, 7, 6. Make a kind of nice oval. 7, 6, 3, or tiers. That's where you turn your hand over. In the en-garde position, facing me looks like this. Behind me looks like this. Tiers, second, or 2. Tiers is 3, second is 2. They are above each other. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. And then the weird ones, cant or 5, which is here, different from 4, which is here. You turn your hand and bend it. And then prime is where you, sometimes people say, grab the doorknob and open the door. Grab the doorknob, open the door. Here to there. That's prime and cant. Those are less common than the others. Okay, so if you practice that 3 times a day for 1 minute each, you will have it down, and it should be automatic to you. The last thing I'm going to show you is just a personal item. Back in 1981, in 1980 I should say, I had taken a year off from college, and I ended up in Houston fencing at Monsieur Sebastiani's club there. And I came back to Princeton as a junior in 1981, and the biggest tournament at that time was the Penn State Open. And that year I won the Penn State Open as well as the Temple University Open. And the prize, which I really thought was cool, was this incredible ornate sword, which is a little bit rusty now, but you can see how that's kind of neat. So that's the best prize I think I ever got. And the next year as a senior, I ran into a guy who was too tough, so I got second place. And that sword looked like this. I don't know if they make these anymore, but as a college student, I thought it was pretty cool to have two swords that came from a really big tournament. Okay, so practice these things on your own. You don't need me to tell you every single time, but you certainly should look at this video more than once. And the way to improve it is to practice regularly every single day, not wait till the end, of course, and do a ton. So daily practice is the key, and I will see you on the next video.